Tony.
And Tony started to materialize.
Started to materialize.
Yeah, and Tony and I always talked about the hereafter and reincarnation. And
now, Tony was, I take it, passed on at this point.
Yeah, Tony was always telling me he was going to stick around for a while and watch people.
Yeah, I wonder if we have that choice. So there was Tony's. Did he materialize completely or what?
Quite completely, and I reached over and shook his hand, and I said, "How on earth did you do that, Tony?"
Yes.
He says, "Ectoplasm." He says, "This was really, really hard to do." And he said, "I had a message. I want you to do something for me."
You're not pulling my leg.
No.
He said ectoplasm, it's really hard to do.
Well, Tony had a real sense of humor.
Obviously.
Laugh constantly. And he was laughing just like Tony was in real life. And I said, "Tony, what happened? How you do that?" And he says, "Didn't you hear? I'm dead." And I said, "What do you mean you're dead? You're sitting right here." He said, "No." He says, "I'm dead. But I told you I was going to stick around." And he wanted me to tell his wife that everything was okay, that he was just as happy and alive as he was in real life.
Yeah, right. And through all this, how are you holding up? I mean...
I just thought it was cool. These things have happened to me over the years. I'd be driving home.
So it didn't bother you?
No, one thing that happened in San Diego Pass quite often, there was always a runner, and you could slow down, go up next to the runner, and look at him and say hello, and he'd fade away.
On the highway, huh?
On the highway. And there was also a beautiful blonde gal that would always be walking the highway. And you'd stop for her, she'd get in the back seat, and you'd start to drive off, and she'd fade out.
And she'd fade out. These stories are rife in Oregon. I mean, they're really all over the place in Oregon. Oregon is famous for those kinds of stories, especially the hitchhikers that suddenly disappear. There are even hitchhikers who tell drivers stories of coming Armageddon and really awful things, and then disappear. A lot of those stories recently. First-time caller line, you're on the air, Ghost to Ghost AM. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Jerry. Since I was a kid, I've seen several different things. I guess I've been kind of sensitive to it.
Uh-huh.
And actually, it's kind of funny is that some of the spirits have told me that all they really want is to be seen and to be acknowledged.
I take it that's a problem on the other side, that you're not seen, you're not acknowledged, and that must be rather frustrating for the people on the other side.
Yeah, it seems if you can see them or feel them, that you become a magnet for them.
That would also make sense. I mean, if they finally find somebody who can either sense them or know they're there and, is acknowledging them, giving them feedback, something they don't have on the other side, then naturally they're going to be drawn to that person.
Well, unfortunately, I had a very bad one that stuck to me and stayed with me for several years, and occasionally still does little things to let me know that he's still around.
Like what?
Well, moving things around in front of me. Sometimes I'll see a shadow, like a shadow person.
Yes.
Or out of the darkness, so I'll hear him call my name.
And so you know it's this person? Same person?
Actually, he gave himself a name. He said his name is Tommy.
Tommy?
Yeah, and the way I met him was a long time ago. It was probably about 10 years ago. I was at a friend's house, and one of them decided they wanted to play the Ouija board. And he made it out of a piece of paper. So that goes to show you it's not the game. It's the people.
Not. It's your will, your wish, your intent. It's not the thing. All you've got to do is sit there and wish it to be, and the door opens.
Yeah, exactly. You call them, and they'll come.
Yeah.
But one thing that he did do that isn't normally on the board is he put a pentagram on there. I had never seen one of those before. I never seen a Ouija board, so I didn't know that wasn't supposed to be there.
Oh, no, bad idea.
Yeah, I found out later that pretty much means you're calling evil spirits.
And along came Tommy.
And at first he said he was a small child that was killed in a car wreck in the 40s. His uncle was drunk and he hit a tree and he went through the windshield and cut his neck, and he bled to death.
That's quite a story. You're saying he lied?
Yeah, he told me he lied later. And so anyways, he tells us this whole story about how he died, and at first he was really nice, and we were just asking different questions, and then he started to get meaner and meaner, and we started asking him, are you really a small boy? And finally he said, no, I'm not. Are you stupid? And started, insulting everyone. And some of the girls started getting scared, and so they were telling the people that were touching the little ring to tell him to leave. And he started saying, I can do whatever I want, and I won't leave unless I want to. Mm-hmm. And so they got pushier and pushier, and finally he said, you'll be sorry. And so that night, they split their different ways. And two of the girls on their way home, the girl driving looks in the rearview mirror, and she sees a shadow person sitting in the back seat. And so they're freaking out. She drives as quickly as she can home. They run inside. It actually was walking back and forth on the porch, and they could see it like a 3-dimension shadow. And then
well, see, all right. I don't know if there's more to it, but I mean, that's the lesson. These things walk through. You open the door, they walk through, and they can be with you for years.
Yeah. And see, out of all the people there, it stayed with me.
Yeah, I got that. How old are you now?
I'm 28.
And 28, and it still is with you.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me as much, but that night, one of the people at that house happened to be my girlfriend, and she called me crying, saying something was scratching her wall. I thought, well, maybe it was a mouse in the wall just making a little scratching noise, and I heard a loud scratch, so I said, I'm coming over to pick you up, I'll be right there. So I turn on my light, and I get up, and I hear something over my head, and I look up, and the chains from the fan are just swinging from side to side, hitting the fan.
Yes.
I thought, oh my gosh, what do we do? So and then I hear something behind me. I turn around, and the cord for the blinds, it's pulling up into the air, and then dropping and hitting the blinds, and it's just pulling up and dropping, pulling up and dropping. So I know that we did something really bad.
Yes, you did.
I went over there to pick her up, and on her wall, the scratches started at the ceiling, and they went all the way down to the pillow right by her head. But they actually went through the paint, the spackling, and through the sheetrock into the middle where the chalk was at.
Let me tell you something. You need to get some help.
No, it's pretty much left me, as long as I don't bother it or encourage it, it doesn't seem to bother me.
When you least expect it. I mean, good luck to you, but I'm telling you right now, unless you have solid evidence, this thing really has left. Believe me, it is still with you. It's still there. And whatever it was you let through, it was definitely not good. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Let me get away from my wife's alarm clock.
Oh, yes.
Well, first off, let me say, good to hear you on the air.
Thank you. Where are you?
We're in Port St. Lucie, Florida here.
All right. And your first name?
And I have to get up away from that clock.
Sounds like you're...
Yeah, I've got a bad back, so I'm up late at nights.
Oh, I know all about that, yeah.
Oh, I know you do.
What's your first name?
Aaron.
Aaron, okay.
Yep, KG4YQK.
Oh, you're a ham. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Look forward to hearing you on the air.
Thank you.
My sister and I, when we were kids, we had kind of a dysfunctional family, obviously. And
I'm beginning to think all of America is dysfunctional.
I think so. I don't think there's any Ward Cleavers out there.
That's right.
So, for the longest time, strange things used to happen in the house. My sister, when we used to come home from school, used to literally come home and pet the porch and go, nice house, because she was scared to go inside.
Sure.
And we'd be sitting in the living room watching TV, and you'd look over, and all of a sudden one of those little pictures, that you would sit on a nightstand or something like that, would just kind of go pew, and flip up in the air and then land on the ground and land straight up. That was freaky enough.
Of course.
My 13th birthday, I decided, we were getting ready to my mother was going to throw me a party. We were going to have a few friends over. And so I, ran, took a shower, whatever, and my bedroom was on the top floor, along with my sister, and nobody was upstairs, and so I went to cut on the light in the hallway to run up the steps.
Right.
And light went out. Poof. I said, oh, man. So I'm 13. I think we just got through watching Jaws, earlier that week. And I ran into the kitchen to get the flashlight, which was up over the counter, and had my towel on. Of course, there's a window there, and the towel fell off, and I'm trying to reach for the flashlight. Of course, Mom didn't like that, so get up here and change. So I go running up the steps, and I get all the way up to the top of the steps, and a big sweeping arm, to reach in to cut my light on in the bedroom. Boom, I hit something midstream. Huh. I'm thinking, I know there's nothing there because it's just empty space there.
What do you mean you hit something? Like what?
I ran into something like a being or a person with my hand. It stopped my arm in mid stride.
Uh-huh.
And so at that point, I knew something wasn't right. And I looked up, and I saw the only thing I can describe it as, it was like, if you ever heard of looking at terror, these yellow eyes, had to be a demon, because all I could see was terror. You're looking up at it, right?
Yes.
And so I'm screaming like a banshee at the top of these steps.
This sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, except I lived it. And so then I jumped down the entire flight of steps, and then with one more jump, I jump across the living room floor.
Yes.
And my mother, of course, the hair on the back of her neck stands up. She goes running upstairs with a butcher knife out of the kitchen, going to try to get whatever's getting at her kid.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the point of it. I got to thinking about it. And I used to read the Bible a lot, and I used to, and I still do, by the way. But I always kind of admired the gentleman who had the fight with Satan in the graveyard, knocked him over a gravestone.
Uh-huh.
And I got to thinking about it. I had kind of wanted to do the same thing. And
do you think you?
I think I brought that on myself.
That's what I was going to ask. You think you brought it on yourself?
I did.
I think. Well, have you been listening to these Ouija stories?
Yeah, that's a very bad idea.
Yeah, as I keep saying, it's not the board.
No.
It's the intent and the wish, and you had all of that and didn't need a board and brought it on yourself, didn't you?
That's right. The mind is a gateway, and be careful how you work it.
Oh, it certainly is. Thank you, brother.
Look forward to hearing you on the land.
Take care. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. This is Robin. I'm from Buffalo, New York. Well, actually, Kenmore is a suburb.
Hey, Robin.
Hey, and great to hear on the air and stuff like that.
Thank you.
At my house, we've had a number of events happen over the past few years. Most of them are pretty benign, occasionally just irritating.
Yes.
The creepiest thing, though, I think that ever happened, and I'm not sure if this is a ghost or a poltergeist or exactly what this was, but when I was about 12 years old, I was doing my laundry like I normally do, downstairs in the basement, sitting there folding towels. Our house is fairly old. It was built in the 20s, not horribly old, but enough that we have to have a jury-rigged clip lamp over the washing machine.
Oh, yes, those little lamps that have little clips on them, and you just clip them on something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you just clip them up. They're little cheap and that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
I'd already been down there for a while, just doing my thing. And all of a sudden, I just noticed, I'm like, there's a buzzing noise coming from this lamp, which of course was on. And I kind of stopped and looked up at it, and as I started to watch it, the noise started getting louder and louder.
Mm-hmm.
And as that happened as well, it began to shake.
Oh?
Now, over the next few seconds, it sort of built up to a crescendo. And